Hey everybody, just getting started. Hopefully we'll be, here we go, there's one. And Facebook's working today, yay! All right, now we're just waiting for Instagram. Everything's working today, the stars have aligned. Hello, it's Dr. Brooke Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and it's Wellness Wednesday, and everything's working today. This is very exciting. It's a good sign for the day. So we are live everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, our Smoothie Shred community. And it's always nice to be here with you. It doesn't substitute for medical care. I'm just somebody you see on the internet right now, but I'm happy to answer any questions I can about your nutrition, overall health, well-being, questions you have about life, making sure that you're doing everything you need to do to be as healthy as humanly possible. But of course, talk to your doctor if you're going to make any major changes in your diet and lifestyle and all that good stuff. So it is Wednesday, December 18th, and let's get started with a life lesson. So I'll tell you a lesson today that we got from a 12-year-old boy. So mom made this statement that I hear sometimes, which is a trigger for me to know exactly what we need to address. And maybe it's something you've thought as well. It was something along the lines of, we've tried doing smoothies every day, but it's getting boring. He needs more variety or wants more variety. And I went, usually when you do something every day, it becomes a habit, in which case you no longer crave the other things. The only reason that repetition on a daily basis would be rejected would be, and I got it, I solved it, let's see if you can relate to it, is if he has an expectation that this change in diet is temporary. And at some point in the near future, we're going to bring back in breakfast burritos and ham and cheese and chicken and burgers and all that stuff. And I asked him that, and he went, I said, okay. So what this amounts to, whereas most of you adults would be able to relate to, is the dieter mentality versus actually committing to a change in your lifestyle that means something. Now, mom had said something about a change in lifestyle, and I said, I don't think a 12-year-old understands what change in lifestyle means, right? That's kind of a more abstract kind of idea. But a commitment to your life and your health, right, is different than dieting. Dieting inherently includes the understanding that it's temporary, right? In my college years, I was introduced to dieting. That's when weight came on suddenly. I'd finished my chemotherapy from the lupus nephritis, and I started putting on weight. I had to take medications to suppress puberty because they were trying to protect me from developing cancer and ovarian cancer and infertility from the chemotherapy treatments. I took a lot of medication to survive my teenage years, but those also prevented me from gaining weight as a normal person would. So they stopped all these medicines. I was able to start having my period. I went off of the chemotherapy, which kept me throwing up a lot, which kept my weight down. And I put on over 20 pounds in the first 6 months, got my period, all of those things, right? So I suddenly got introduced to the idea of dieting because I didn't really like how all of the weight came on and how it continued to come on. And so when I would go on a diet, what I learned to do, this stuff's so bad, was I would do the Slim Fast shakes. The Slim Fast shakes, you put the powder and you mix it in, or they started selling the cans. It is processed garbage. It is the same kind of stuff that they give people in the hospital for gaining weight and everything. It's all terrible. The chocolate flavored shakes, all chemicals, terrible for your health. I didn't know that. It said it was complete, And so what I do is I would just drink those instead of meals until the weight came off. But I knew in my mind that it was temporary, that I was going to be hungry and irritable and not liking the fact that I wasn't doing that. I wasn't eating what I want, but I could withstand it because I knew sometime soon I would go back to eating pizza and fries and spaghetti and all the things that I usually ate every day. It's a dieter's mentality. You have willpower for a limited time with the expectation that this is temporary and you're going to go back to your old ways at some point soon. And so it's built into a diet that it's temporary. And what happens is when people think of this as a diet, their brain is constantly looking for when it's done. Is today a good day? It's Christmas. It's New Year's. It's my birthday. It's another holiday. It's their birthday. It's the last day of school. Whatever. It's the first day of work. It's an anniversary. And your brain's always like, how about today? How about today? How about today? And so the cravings never go away because the brain is still going, today? How about today? How about today? How about now? Right? And so it's this torture of, nope, another smoothie, another salad, more healthy food, when really what your brain wants is the day you're going to give in. So for some folks, they continue to struggle with staying on plan for that reason. That the difference between the opposite of this, let me say it this way, is that you embrace this as your new way of being. You commit. Some people say they submit and say, this is a better way to eat. This is what I do from now on. And I call this full commitment. Again, you can also call it full submission. But full commitment is effortless. This is a lot of what I do in training for my 6-week rapid recovery group, is I teach them this concept of full commitment, that it's only difficult when a part of your brain's uncommitted. When your brain fully commits, it's so simple. You're like, what am I going to have? A smoothie. It's what I have. Like I always have that. Like why would I have something else, right? That there's no longer any effort, no longer any thinking that goes into it. There's no longer any stress because this is just what I do. And it's just normal, right? It's like when you're first trying to teach a toddler to brush their teeth. In the beginning, for most kids, it is a battle, right? They don't want to do it. They cry about it. They tell you they did it, but they didn't. And you have to go touch the toothbrush and go, hey, it's dry. You didn't do it, right? Or they do 1, 2, 3, throw it away, right? So in the beginning, they are looking for every possible way to get out of it. They don't want to brush their teeth. They hate brushing their teeth. Most kids hate it. But then one day, for most of us, something clicks where if every day our parents say, no, you brush your teeth when you wake up and you brush your teeth before bed every day. And no matter what excuses we have, and no matter what we say, we still have to do it every day, morning, night. Eventually, it just becomes a habit where I can't sleep if I don't brush my teeth. If they're not smooth, I can't sleep. It is a habit. It is ingrained. And I never wake up going, do I want to brush my teeth today? Because it's a habit. And it's a habit. I'm glad I have this habit. I like having my teeth healthy, but that's what it is. It's these little tantrums and things. But once you're fully committed that this is just normal, this is what we do, this is how I take care of myself, then that's it. And you don't go, God, I'm tired of mint toothpaste. I have mint toothpaste every day. I wish I could have a different flavor. I have never once thought that. Toothpaste is minty and I use it twice a day. And that's just life, right? That's what full commitment looks like. And it's the same thing for your nutrition. So if that helps some of you today that find yourself battling, it might not be that you just don't like smoothies. And it might not be that you have low motivation or willpower. It might be that you haven't committed, that you're still in a dieter mentality, telling yourself this is temporary until there's a good enough excuse. When you fully commit to yourself, to your health, to your life, that's when you get that lifestyle change people talk about, where this is just how I live. No, I don't crave meat. No, I don't feel bad that I'm not eating ice cream. Those things aren't food to me. Just like I don't feel bad that I can't sleep without brushing my teeth because I want to brush my teeth, right? So it's a really important thing. And if that shakes it loose for you and helps you figure out the aha you need, then I'm really glad. That's what I want. Like I said, in my rapid recovery group, we work on these things daily because sometimes people have an aha, but then they need to work harder at making it stick. So if you're working on your own, I want you to pen to paper, journaling, work on this and see if you can push through. For those of you who are going to be in my next group, January 24th, that one is filling, but not full. Usually January fills the fastest because New Year's, people are like, okay, next year is when I'm going to start. We know, right? So just so you know, if you're looking to get into that group, don't wait till the last minute, because while most groups fill in the last week, New Year's usually fill, the January groups usually fill sooner. But if you go to goodbyelupus.com, you can check that out. But for those of you here just for the free coaching, working on your own, start journaling on that. Hopefully you got an aha where you go, oh my gosh, that's totally what I'm doing. As soon as you tell your brain no more, tantrums stop and it starts to become easier. All right, let's see here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump into the questions. We've got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, my Smoothie Shred group. Let me see if Smoothie Shred, all right, Smoothie Shred, we have some questions. So Smoothie Shred, for those of you who aren't aware, that is our free Facebook community where my husband and I try to give extra support and also give people community where they can all support each other in hyper nourishing or even doing the full protocols, whether it's for weight loss or for bringing down inflammation, disease. And it's such a cool place where people share information and their success stories, support each other. So if you go to smoothieshred.com, you can check that out. And it's also the only official group on Facebook. I recently changed the name of the group to include our name so people know. It's called Smoothie Shred by Dr. Brooke Goldner and Thomas Tadlock. That's our official group. A lot of people put my name on their groups, but it's not. I'm not involved. And people will tell me like they're asking you questions and the moderator's answering, and I'm not in that group. It's not my group. So Smoothie Shred is our official group. So since that's our official group, let me check out what folks are asking there. Okay, Priyanka says, I have hypothyroidism, but my iodine levels are normal. Adding extra iodine might negatively impact my thyroid. So how can I incorporate cruciferous in my diet? So just follow it the way I teach it, Priyanka. You're going to add the cruciferous vegetables, and then you're going to take the iodine supplement and take them at separate times so that you can absorb it. I've helped a lot of people reverse hypothyroidism, just followed it exactly the way I teach it. And we have the protocols in Smoothie Shred. So in our Smoothie Shred group in the guides section, we keep it updated to how we're doing the protocols and the differences between the protocols. And that's all free community. Leah, I have all the symptoms of hypothyroidism, dry skin, tired, always cold, easy weight gain, and hard weight loss. A mom with thyroid cancer. I have no natural periods since I was 14. I'm 26 now. What is my doctor missing? My thyroid and thyroid hormones were checked, and I was told everything is normal. And since I cannot read labs, what is a normal thyroid reading for Goldner standards? You're awesome. Trying to get pregnant this year and pray the protocol will grant me all I wish. So the thing about thyroid disease, Leah, so one thing I'd do is I'd get another doctor to get another opinion. The thing about thyroid disease is it is never a diagnosis, hypothyroid, for example, that should be made based off of labs alone. That is simply not how thyroid disease is supposed to be diagnosed and treated. And I say supposed to be because that's how I was trained. Now, I was trained over 20 years ago, but I think things have gone downhill since then. I think that treatment and diagnosis of diseases have gone downhill for multiple reasons. The main reasons, I believe, are because doctors are given less time with patients. Those who work within insurance. You all know I don't work with an insurance system, and that's why I can spend 75 minutes with my patients or with my wellness clients. I spend a lot of time with people. I see people every day in rapid recovery because for me, I know that relationships heal people. I have to hear the whole story. I have to get to know you. And then I know what's wrong. It's actually pretty simple to diagnose people when you spend enough time with them to hear the whole story. But unfortunately, because doctors are given so little time to work with people, they started relying more on lab tests. Because if I have 5 to 10 minutes to sit with you in a room, oh, hi, how are you? How you doing? What are you having? Okay, let me see. All right, here, I'll give you a prescription. See you, bye. That's what most people tell me it's like to see their physician. And most people tell me I'm the first doctor that ever sat down and went line by line through every line of their labs and explained what they meant. And these people are sometimes in their 60s or 70s and never once have had that. To me, that's bizarre. So with thyroid disease, there is no magical numbers on a lab test that show you that you have hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, okay? It's not a magical number. In fact, even the reference range is not a normal range. It's a reference range because there are some people who, that are outside of the reference range who are okay. So with thyroid disease, number one is always the symptoms. And then we look at the labs. So I have seen folks who have hypothyroid and they are symptomatic unless their TSH is 1. And then there's other folks with hypothyroid who are asymptomatic with a TSH of 4, right? Which normally, and what I've seen is, I see a lot of doctors do this and it drives me bonkers because it's not practicing medicine. If you're just looking at a lab and aiming for the middle, you're not practicing medicine. You have to think, you have to interpret, you have to talk to the person. So I always look at the symptoms and then I look at the lab. So I look at the symptoms of the person first and formulate the diagnosis in my mind based off talking to them. Then I see if the labs correlate. So personally, I've had patients that had every symptom of hypothyroid whose TSH and T4 and T3 still looked normal. And I started a little bit of thyroid hormone in them and all their symptoms went away. So that person had hypothyroid. It was shown by all their symptoms, but their TSH was normal. Now, maybe over time that TSH was still going to creep up, but for them, a TSH of 2.5 was hypothyroid for them. I met someone once who had a TSH of 10, 0 symptoms of hypothyroid. TSH, just so you know, usually they look for a range that's like between, 0.5 to 4 or something. And most doctors just try to give people just enough meds to be right in the middle and totally ignore their symptoms. So I've seen folks where their TSH was high and their doctor tried to give them thyroid medicine, even though they had no symptoms. And then they got jittery hyperthyroid symptoms and they had to stop it. But they were making the treatment, they were basing the treatment off of a number, even though the patient was there saying, I feel great, I have no problems. So the biggest problem, and I know this, maybe you weren't looking for a full rant, but you triggered one. The biggest problem in medicine, one of the biggest problems, is doctors aren't given the time. It's not their fault. This is a system is broken, but they're not given enough time. They're relying on meds and they're not listening to the patient. So I would go to another doctor, ask for a second opinion, go to the endocrinologist and say, hey, here's all the things that you wrote down in your question. My TSH tends to be midline, but I've come to understand that sometimes you can have hypothyroid, but your TSH isn't abnormal yet. Would you work with me on it? Now, I've helped people reverse hypothyroid with my protocol, right? But not everybody can get to full function, if there's been severe damage. So I would go all in on the Goodbye Autoimmune protocol anyway, Leah, to see if we can get your thyroid working properly and get you feeling well, because usually what happens is people's energy goes up, their skin looks gorgeous and hydrated, weight loss is no problem. So if you do our full protocol, then you don't even have to worry about the follow-up because it's problem solved. But if not, or if in the meantime you need help, I'd be going to another doctor, because one of my biggest pet peeves is someone saying that they feel sick and the doctor saying you're fine. That is the most invalidating thing I've ever heard. And as someone who's been a patient for so much of my life, I can't stand it. I can't tolerate it. If someone's sitting in that chair saying they don't feel well, they're not well. Just because you don't know what it is does not mean they're fine. If they were fine, they wouldn't be sitting there, because there's a lot more fun things to do than sit in a doctor's office. So when someone says you're fine, you're normal, when you're saying I have this 20 symptoms, you need another physician. So, okay. That's for all of you that have any kind of question like that. Megana wants to know, what temperature do you maintain in your home? And me, I like it at 74, but I love heat. I love warm. So I have a lot of friends who think that that's wild, but 74 is my happy place. So whether it's being heated or cooled, I like 74 personally. I have extreme Raynaud's. I'm not able to do any sort of cooking or cutting vegetables. Are there any cooking gloves that exist? There are things like neoprene gloves that people use. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be getting better. Let me see. Sarah, have you seen any patients with idiopathic cardiomyopathy and left ventricular failure using your protocols? Could you share any insights? I don't know about idiopathic cardiomyopathy. I always try to think of a person to answer, but definitely people who have failing left ventricle. I mean, that's something that we see often because of hypertension. And definitely I would go into the protocol. They got to get rid of the inflammatory items, meat, dairy, processed foods, put them at minimum on a hyper-nourishing plant-based diet that has, if there's any cooked food, no oils, lean into the hyper-nourishment. And if they're willing to do more aggressive protocol, even better. And Kiana wants to know if they can add fresh coconut water to the smoothie. Nope, that stuff is just pure sugar. So I am not a fan. Okay, now let's see over here. Diana said we have the temperature at 65 in the house. See, but you live in the Northeast, right? So I grew up in the Northeast and I hate being cold. I just wasn't meant to be there. I love the people, but the climate was just not for me. So yeah, I love it because like right now I think it's going to be like 78 degrees today in Houston. I'm still wearing t-shirts outside. I love heat. Give me heat and humidity. It's my favorite thing. So I know it's very polarizing, but Dry heat is not for me. All right, let's see here. Hello, Diana. Hi, hello, Connie. Hi, Josh. Annie 5A, are you currently on lupus medication? No, I have been off all medications for over 18 years now. So I became lupus free with 0 symptoms and normal blood tests 19 years ago, October. And I still kept on some medications for the year after that because I'd had lupus and blood clots and kidney issues starting at 16 years old. And I was 28 at the time. And nobody believed I ever could get off medicines because I was a very scary patient. But after a year with completely normal blood tests and no symptoms, that's when I finally got my final medication was at the year mark, was the blood thinners. And my doctor was telling me that he was keeping me on blood thinners to treat his anxiety, even though I had no clots and all my antiphospholipid antibodies were negative. The ANA was negative, lupus was negative. So I said, don't worry, I don't want to die. If anything comes back, I'm coming back. And after a year of being off medicines and no relapse, then he fired me and said, I don't know what I'm treating here. You don't have anything. Come back if you ever need me. And that's been 18 years since then. So no medications. Took a lot of them to keep me alive before I changed my diet. When I changed my diet, I don't need them anymore. Diana said, are you ready for my birthday? I don't remember. Is your birthday? Is it your birthday? I'm ready then. I'm ready. RKW, hi. Let's see. Oh, Prinksty, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Soccer lover wants to know, do you take iodine with Graves' disease? Typically, your physician will tell you no because they're giving you medicines in Graves' disease where they're trying to block. One of the medicines literally blocks the ability to turn iodine into thyroid hormone. So they're trying to block your ability to make thyroid hormone during Graves'. So they usually will not tell you to supplement. I usually tell people to just use iodized salt for flavor because you still do need iodine for your brain function too. But I would talk to your doctor because I don't know your whole case. And typically they don't want you to do anything that promotes making thyroid hormone, including iodine. All right, let's see here if we have another question. All right. Min71511, for the first time I had a few oxalates show up in urine. I don't have a history of kidney stones nor do I have symptoms. Is this okay? Should I decrease my spinach or add more oranges for calcium? It's totally fine. Just because there are some oxalates in the urine, it just shows your body is metabolizing and excreting them. So there shouldn't be any issue. Spinach is the highest one in oxalates, so it's an easy thing to switch it out. But if you're not having stones, but just have some that are passing through, that it shouldn't be a problem. All right, let's see here. And Lux Official Music says, hi, Dr. Goldner. I'm very busy in the mornings getting myself and my 2-year-old ready. If I made the smoothie the night before, would it be okay for the morning if I put it in the fridge? Absolutely. You could totally make them and have them within 24 hours. For me, flavor-wise, I don't really love the taste of having a smoothie that was pre-made. And so what I usually do is I will prep the blender. I did this last night. I prepped the blender the night before. So I take the blender, I put in all the power greens, I put in my flax or chia seeds, I put in the water. I put a little extra water because the seeds tend to absorb overnight. Put the water in, my banana, and then I put in the frozen fruit too, frozen pineapple, mango, put the lid on and I put it in the fridge. And I find in the morning, the frozen fruit is still frozen enough to blend it and go. And so I like it because it's, you only put it on the blender for about 2 minutes anyway. So you put the blender on and you turn it on, you finish your stuff getting ready, turn it off, pour it into the cups and go. So either way, you can either totally pre-blend it and have it the next day if you like the flavor, or if you're like me and you don't like the flavor as much, then just prep it the night before and blend it in the morning. That works too. All right. And hi, Dr. Brooke. What about lipedema? Have you helped people with this? I read that you help people with this, but have they been cured of this? So yes, I've helped people with this. But have they been cured of this? So I don't know what you mean by cured. Are you meaning like they could never get it again? No, they probably could get it again if they went back to their old ways. But the fact that it went away is what we're looking for. It's just like, could I ever get lupus again, even though it's been almost 20 years? I don't know how long it would take, but if I went back to eating nothing but, dairy and eggs, pizza, Doritos, switch from water back to Diet Coke, eventually I probably could trigger it again. So all we want to do is we want to aim for what makes us better. right? That's the goal. We want to get better. And so, so I consider that a victory. But I don't, if you mean like cured, like, could they never get it again? I don't know. They're not looking to get it again. So that's the most important thing. All right, let's see here. Let's go over to YouTube. YouTube's busy. All right, let's see. Amber wants to know, hi, Dr. G, question, is it better to exercise areas of the body that have joint pain from RA, or is it better to avoid areas that are in pain and exercise pain-free areas? B. So if you have an inflamed joint, the last thing you want to do is put pressure on it, because something that's inflamed is also very friable. It's a word that means like easy to damage or rip or tear. So if there's inflammation, that tissue is soft and easy to tear. So you don't want to put pressure on an inflamed joint. That's why a lot of the times when I'm working with people in that rapid recovery, they'll sometimes their exercise is the wrong thing to allow the recovery. They're like, oh, my arthritis is in my ankles and my self-care is walking 2 hours a day. And I'm like, no, don't do walking. Like, your ankle is not going to get better because you're just messing with it. You've got to, ice it, elevate it, relax it, let it finish the healing process. Do crunches, do core work, do upper body work, do things that don't activate the that joint so that it can finish the recovery. Good question. All right, let me see here. Kristen says, hi, Dr. G, I'm thinking of doing rapid recovery in January. I don't have a major illness, but I do want to do it for fatigue, stress, and self-care. Do people do it for this reason? Thank you. Absolutely, Kristen. So we have a large variety of people who do rapid recovery. And of course, many of them are seriously ill. We have usually probably a quarter of them that are in kidney failure or liver failure or something where it's, this is their last resort, life or death. They're right on the line. And then we have some folks that do it, for things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And we have some folks who do it purely for weight. We've had multiple people now do it for depression. They wanted to reverse anxiety and depression by focusing on their self-care and the highest level of nourishment and getting our coaching every day. And it's been very helpful for those people, which has been really cool. And we also have had people do it preventatively. I had someone who did it because her family all has diabetes and she didn't want to have that. Another person who's retired and she just wants amazing energy and she got it. Oh my God. She went from doing 1 walk a day to doing her walk plus walking all of her neighbors and just running around just like super, super energetic grandma. So we have folks that do it for many reasons, anything from just, I have one physician who did it years ago for her health issues, who comes back on a regular basis, like once a year, just to do it for her own self-care, because it's the one place where she focuses on her moods, her self-care, just optimizing how she treats herself. And it just was like a beautiful reset. So yeah, we love that. We love the variety, actually. It's very nice to have a variety of people with different issues. And I think it's great to work on yourself when you're feeling fatigued and stressed before it turns into something that's a diagnosis. So yeah, I think you'd love it. Let's see here. All right. Aw, this is nice here. So I'll show you here. So Arod said, hi, doctor. I've been doing only raw food diet and it's helped me a lot. Thank you so much. From Laredo, Texas, 5 hours a day. Oh, thanks. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so happy to see when people post about how much better they're doing. It's why I donate my time to the public. When you tell me it's working, I keep doing it. And been getting a lot of beautiful messages from people saying that just my books and watching these live coaching sessions has reversed their illnesses and gotten them well. It just makes me so happy. Let me see. Okay. Wendy wants to know, has doing the protocols help people reverse multifocal motor neuropathy? Motor neuropathy, I don't have a case for you. Most people who come to me have other types of neuropathy that affect sensation. I like to think of a person. Let me check something. See if I can pull someone up. Yeah, I don't have anyone with that. I mean, that's like a really rare, it's a really rare diagnosis. The good stuff is there's no harm in trying. So I won't ever say, yes, totally, it's going to work if I haven't worked with someone with that specific illness. I only teach results. But I can say that there's only good will happen from doing it, because remember, the protocol isn't specific to disease, it's specific to cell repair. And so we've had lots of folks come to us who we've never even heard of their illness, It's so rare that they didn't even bother to teach it in medical school, and yet they get better. So there's actually an ophthalmologist who contacted me about doing a case study because he has patients with this rare condition, birdshot uveitis, and those folks usually just go blind over time. They're putting steroid injections in their eye and they still get sicker. But the ones who have come to me, they reversed it and they're doing great. Their eyes are normal, or they just have old scar tissue, but no progression. So he's like, what? But I'd never even heard of that disease when the first person came to me years ago with it. So do it and try, and then let me know. Let me know how it goes. I'm always happy to hear. And then the next person I could say, oh yes, multifocal motor neuropathy. Yes, someone just contacted me with that. Yeah, always worth trying, and I hope it does. Let's see, Jay Hellman, does it help with fibromyalgia? Yes, big yes for fibromyalgia. Yes, the fatigue and the pain. Okay, let's see. Let's go to regular Facebook. Okay. Okay. So Wendy wants to know, doctor said I'm hyperthyroid because I have a super low TSH in my blood work. She recommended a thyroid scan. Is it a good idea? I wanted to do your protocol, but I haven't been very good at it. Yes, it's worth it to get a scan to see what they see, right? They're trying to look to see, is there anything on your thyroid that they see, a nodule, something that's causing this problem? Go and find out. I always think it's good to get information and then use it as motivation to get on plan. Just do it, right? It's not that you're not good at it. You just haven't figured out what you need to get motivated. So as I started with this, the Q&A today, sometimes it's just you're not giving yourself enough time. You're treating it like a diet. Sometimes there's food addiction. Sometimes there's emotional self-sabotage. I have folks that, especially in rapid recovery, I discover with them that they keep themselves sick as a form of self-punishment or as a reason, as a way to avoid certain types of attention. There's so many different things, and that's when I can really go deeper psychologically with people. If I see someone every day, I start to see their patterns and understand what's going on. But don't tell yourself that you're not good at it. You can be good at it. It's just food. It's simple. So if it's a simple program that you feel is hard, you need to look at what's your motivation and make sure that you're focusing on your why, what you want most more than what you want now. And if something goes wrong or you fail, look at it and say what happened and figure out a game plan. That's the kind of work that I focus on people, and it works. It fixes things. Every time something goes wrong, you analyze what went wrong, why, and let's make a game plan for that. And eventually you stop failing and it works. So you can do it. All right, let's see here. And maybe the threat of we want to take out your thyroid can help you with the why, right? Okay. Pam wants to know, in hypernourishment, is it a pound of raw veggies a day or a pound of cruciferous veggies a day? It's both. It's a pound of raw cruciferous veggies a day, although we count spinach in it too. It's not cruciferous, but it's cruciferous adjacent. So that's what it is. Let me see here. Facebook. Oh, thanks for the big love. Celebrate eating plants. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Jessica wants to know, what do we do if we're not hungry and we haven't reached the weights of the food? Is it okay to fast? I'll start with the last one. Is it okay to fast? Fasting's better than eating the wrong thing. All right. So if you are hungry, this is when that usually comes up, is someone will say they ate something they shouldn't eat because they were hungry and there was nothing on plan around, so they ate something bad. And in those cases, I say it's better to fast than to eat something bad. But it's better to eat on plan than to fast. So what you need to do is resolve that. So a lot of times it's more food than you're used to, it's more fiber than you're used to. And you might have to push yourself to eat at first, because especially if it's not stuff you're craving, you might find that your body's like, I'd rather just not even eat than have another salad, another smoothie. I don't want it. I'd rather not eat. No, you got to eat. So for the first 3 weeks, oftentimes people find that they have to push themselves to eat to get it done. And then the habit starts to form and the appetite increases. So what I'd be looking at is if you get too full to finish, I'd be looking at ways to get it in without you getting too full. So for example, if it's, some people find that they do better if they just eat small amounts every 2 hours. If you take the same amount that feels impossible to eat by 7 p.m. and you split that into like little servings, all the same size, 6 of them, and you eat every 2 hours, people tend to not get full, and they eat and then they have 2 hours rest, and then they eat and they have 2 hours rest. So they're never hungry, never full, get it all done. Sometimes it's changing up the type of food. Maybe you feel too bloated on a smoothie, but you feel fine dipping some cauliflower in my cauliflower popcorn dip from my book, right? So we look at ways to get the food in rather than reasons not to eat. It's not hypernourishment unless you get all the food in. Okay, let's see here. Check back on Smoothie Shred. Did I get everyone? We did Instagram, we did YouTube. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. So Lillian says, do you know what test I should ask for when I want to test my anti-Ro SSA antibody numbers so I can see if they're lowering? You just wrote it down. Lily, you wrote it down. You want to test your anti-Ro SSA antibodies. So you want to, you just ask, those are antibody tests. You can ask for an autoimmune panel, or you can ask for those numbers. Go. I see you're on week 3. Okay. Jenny says, for hypernourishment, is there any restriction with raw nuts? I'm just combining here with raw nuts, seeds, raw vegan protein powder. Outside of the protocol hypernourishment, are you aware of anything specific like boiron for hair growth that helps with long-term numbness in the feet after illness? Otherwise, this individual is raw vegan and very healthy. So hypernourishment is about what you're adding, not what you're taking out. So there are no restrictions on hypernourishment. Hypernourishment is about adding those nutrients from the cruciferous, the omega-3s, the water intake to your diet. So there's no restrictions on that. The restrictions come in if you're trying to do the Goodbye Lupus protocol, the Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol. And since you're in Smoothie Shred, go to the guides. And in the guides, it explicates the differences between all of those programs. Long-term numbness in the feet after illness, that is a medical condition. Make sure that you've talked to a doctor, whether it's CIDP, Guillain-Barré, something, that you, hopefully it's, it says long-term. So I'm guessing treatment and diagnosis already happened, but we've had amazing reversal of that on our full protocol. So I'd be looking at that. Either Goodbye Lupus or Goodbye Autoimmune. Okay. Then Anna says, is my BMI too low at 16? I've always been thin. I'm losing weight on Goodbye Autoimmune protocol. People are commenting. I'm eating all the time, but I struggle to get in enough calories, but usually plenty of energy. So if you were already at, like, naturally sat at a BMI of 17, and then you've lost some inflammation, then that could put you to 16, which might be normal for you. Usually I consider 16 to be low. I mean, BMI, the problem with BMI is that it doesn't tell you about what your composition is. So BMI tells you your weight versus your, your weight versus your height, basically. But that doesn't tell you anything about your health because we don't know what the weight's made of. So if you were already around that size and you've just lost some body fat and some inflammation, it might be normal for you. But for most folks, they're not going to get that low. But I find that most folks are very healthy with a BMI that's like 17 or so, and that's totally fine. So I would have to look at you specifically because if someone starts out at a BMI of like 20, they don't normally drop down to that low. They're going to just maybe end up at 19 or something like that. So again, BMI specifically is not a good test because it doesn't tell us composition. I also don't know your full range of stuff. But if you are already that size, most people, when they do our protocol, when they first start the first week or two, they can lose 5 to 10 pounds and none of it's body weight. It's all inflammation, especially people with kidney issues. People don't realize how much weight inflammation has. So if it suddenly drops, you can't lose more than about a half pound a week of actual body fat when you're working out as hard as you can. So, but fluids and inflammation can drop immediately. So as well as things like glycogen, which is just storage of sugars. So if you were already tiny and you just lost a few pounds and it's just inflammation and glycogen, that's probably fine. And it sounds like it from what you wrote that you were already small and it's just a small shift, but it shouldn't continue. You shouldn't really have much to lose on you. The way you know what you have is the only way we really know for sure are MRIs, because MRIs show how much people have in terms of fat versus muscle. So because of the new research on that, they've shown that people with normal BMIs are actually fat. when they do the scans, because they look at them and they have tons of body fat. So their weight isn't high, but whatever weight they have is all fat. So they need to lose weight even though they have normal BMI. And so that's the biggest application failure of BMI is we are telling people they're fine when they're not, because they actually have body fat to lose. Once you get to the low end though, you shouldn't really have much to lose. So we might need to talk more about where you were, but you don't need to add calories, but you should be meeting plan fully. So one of the best ways you know if you're getting enough food is your energy level. So if you feel full of energy and you're able to exercise and do everything you want, usually that means you're getting the nourishment in, as long as you especially are hitting all the numbers. So if you're doing like the full raw program, make sure that you're getting as much nutrition as you can. You should be increasing it over time as your body gets used to it. A lot of people start out like the first week barely able to get 16 ounces, and then it's 24 ounces, and then it's like 30 or 40 ounces. So, just make sure you max out at your food. But if your energy is good, that's a really good sign. That's the best I can do from the information I have. All right, let's see here. Penny wants to know, hi, Dr. Brooke. My friend has a non-cancerous tumor on the head of his pancreas. The doctors are considering a Whipple procedure. I've placed stents in the ducts. Can your protocol help? I don't know. Most folks, by the time they have any kind of tumor, or especially cancer in their pancreas, it's already too late. It's very hard to diagnose, and then it's often progressive. This is a non-cancerous tumor. I don't know if it will help or not. It has helped with other tumors and cancers, but he or she or they may still need medical care. So I would make sure that they're talking to their doctor, because if they're planning a procedure like this, they obviously have concerns about what's going to happen with this tumor, and I don't have the information to weigh in on it. Okay, let's see here. Go back to Instagram time. All right. Josh Knight, I really want to start your smoothies, but every time I drink them, I have a strange sensation in my throat and my heart will race. Affects less if greens are cooked. What should I do? I saw this once years and years ago with someone. It was just when they combined a banana with it. It was this weird thing. So you can always try just mixing up ingredients and see if it feels better. Or maybe have less smoothie and eat more salads, or if any smoothie at all bothers you, then just switch to eating the foods. I mean, thankfully in my Goodbye Lupus, Hello Delicious book, we now have so many recipes. People have said they just found things that worked, whether it was guacamole or the cauliflower popcorn or something, where they could have something that's easy to just eat all day, almost as easy as smoothie, that suits whatever their needs or likes are. But try that. See if taking the banana out works. Try switching it out to something else. Okay. Vitality Holistic Fitness. Hi, Dr. G. Thank you for all you do. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, many comorbidities, histamine intolerance, migraine, orthostatic intolerance, and I was just diagnosed. And then it cuts off. Crap. You have multiple things, but it doesn't seem to be. So it's just diagnosed in May. Had symptoms of hypermobility all my life, comorbidities emerging, worsening with age. I am a firm believer in epigenetics and science. Okay. Yeah, I actually have had multiple people with Ehlers-Danlos do my rapid recovery group and said that it was miraculous for them. That, what was started out as just flexibility when they were younger turned into major problems as they got older, and they felt good. And we had someone recently who just said that all of the downside had gone away, and they felt like they were back to themselves as they were younger again. So it's definitely worth doing. Definitely worth doing. All right, let's see here. And Fico by Nature says, can I use frozen kale 5 days in with HP? I'm guessing you mean hypernourishment, maybe? Hypernourishment protocol. I want you to use fresh greens for hypernourishment. If you want to use frozen kale for other stuff, you can. I mean, if you absolutely don't have access, then use the frozen, but we prefer use the fresh. Okay. Let me see. All right, let's go over here and check out YouTube. All right, let's see. Find another new one here. All right, let's see. Daisy. I've been diagnosed with long COVID, osteoarthritis, and sleep apnea. The smoothies help with these illnesses. Yes, absolutely. We've had a lot of people who've done rapid recovery specifically for long COVID, especially over recent years, and all of them reverse their symptoms and quickly. I probably had to be another one to put on the list of new cases to publish. It works really, really well. I would do full protocol though. I'd go full goodbye autoimmune protocol, or something like my rapid recovery group where we put that into action with you. But if you're working on your own, you asked about the classes in your question. The classes are great. They're at goodbyelupus.com. My books and the recipes are available right at the recipes in the Goodbye Lupus Hello Delicious. Go all in. Make sure you're doing your self-care and get yourself feeling better soon. All right. Thank you, Philip. Let's see. Okay. Aliki, I think. How to use the protocol correctly for weight loss specifically. In addition to being overweight, a person has high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, no specific diagnosis, and it seems like inflammation in the joints. So remember, the original Goodbye Lupus protocol was designed as a weight loss program for me. So back in the day, I know it might be hard to imagine, but back in the day, I was overweight and I wanted to lose it for my wedding. And so my husband designed this as a program for me for weight loss. So now I lost the weight of my body weight. So I had gone from like a size 11 to a size 3 at the time in 3 months. So it worked. It was great. I was totally ripped. I loved it. But I also lost the weight of the lupus too. And that's how it first became the Goodbye Lupus protocol. And then we studied it and realized that his obsession in creating a miracle metabolism, well, metabolism is not just about fat loss after all and muscle building, but it's also about optimizing cellular function and immune function. And that's how it became known for autoimmune. But you can absolutely still use it for the metabolic issues that you wrote down. And weight loss is about adding the exercise. So the nutrition sets up the metabolism and the exercise takes off the weight. So you want to add high intensity interval training for the exercise. You can also use my husband's book. Let me see if I have it there. Okay, so it is, nope, it's reversed here. Miracle Metabolism, that one over there. And it talks about how to use the nutrition that we use to reverse my disease for fat loss and combine it with the right exercises. It also shows how to then evolve it to add the right foods and exercises for muscle building as well. All right, let me see here. We got an update here from Lego Jam. So this is cool. Let's see here. So it says, Goodbye Lupus Protocol Week 9, reversing LN, energy level through the roof, some unexpected welcome side effects, better eyesight, muscle definition and strength, and less visible cellulitis. Woo to the who. I love woo to the who. Yes, it's very exciting. And better eyesight. We talked about that last week. That is a common side effect of doing my full protocol. Is people find their vision gets better. Your eyes are organs and they receive the nourishment and get better. And Raw Food just said, you saw the interview I did with Jillian Berry. We should post our version of it too. She's a raw foodist who stopped by to interview us. I'm so glad that you love that. We get a lot of good feedback about that. Appreciate that so much. Let me see. Oh, okay. So Amigo said, I bought an upcoming consult with you for my friend on dialysis who's 3 times a week and can't urinate. She tried your smoothie and after 3 days, she felt way better. Yay. Her doctor said because of the warfarin, she has to stop green smoothie. All right. So that's lazy doctoring. I know it's judgy, but it's true. Lazy doctoring because, and listen, again, doctors are taught this. They have very little time with you. Warfarin is a blood clot medicine. And that medicine does not function properly when people eat healthy. And so the solution is instead of adjusting the medicine dose to go with someone's healthy diet, the doctor just tells people not to eat healthy, and that makes it easier because they don't have to adjust the medicine. Because all you have to do is, the medicine gets broken down faster when people eat healthy, like with leafy greens. So they just have to increase the dose to go with the diet. But if you just eat crap, then they can just leave the dosage alone. So I work with a lot of people on that medicine. And if they can't switch to another medicine, because that's the only one that does that. Most of the other medicines, it doesn't matter what you eat. So if she can switch to another medication, it's easier. But I've worked with people on warfarin and they just get an INR machine, a home INR machine that measure. If you're not on this, don't worry about what all these things mean. But they just measure their INR levels, and if it and they can adjust their medication dose looking at their INR until they get to the right dose of medicine to go with the dose of their vegetables that they're eating. But to starve yourself of vegetables so that you can make it easier to manage a medication level, it's lazy at best and doing harm at worst. So I'm not a fan of that. But again, that's what doctors are often taught. Like, oh, tell people who are on warfarin not to eat any leafy greens. And guess what happens? They get sicker because they're malnourished. So not the right solution. But again, a lot of times I work with people daily, like in rapid recovery, I work with people daily. So they can, like, they have their INR, they have their stuff, like we're watching. Same thing with kidney failure. Most people on dialysis join my rapid recovery group because then I'm seeing them every day and I can watch for any issues, and they're able to continue to check the labs and make sure that their potassium levels and water intake and all that stuff's all working properly and GFR is going up. But yeah, just have her tell her doctor, I want to eat healthier. Can you monitor my INR or get me a home INR machine so that we can adjust my warfarin dosage to go with my healthier diet? I don't want to stop eating healthy. That would be the next step. Because it is a concern. I mean, you don't want to have too little of a blood thinner in your bloodstream, right? You want to make sure that you don't have a stroke or a problem, but it can be adjusted to go with the diet. Okay, see. I'm glad that she was already feeling better. Make sure she's using low potassium. All right. Raw foodage. Does the water we put into our smoothies count towards the daily water intake? Yes. And if you're drinking, she's asking if it's more than a gallon, is that too much? You're getting your iodized salt. If you feel good, it's not. I find that many folks get so used to the water intake, they find themselves drinking more just by accident. They just are thirsty. If you're thirsty, it's pretty reliable that you're okay for having more water. Even my guidelines where I say, don't go over an ounce per pound, but I drink more water than my weight by pounds. I don't drink my weight in water, but if 128 ounces or a gallon of water is more than my body weight. So, but I'm used to it. I drink plenty of water. I'm thirsty for it. I also have sodium in my diet, and it's no problem. So, it's totally fine if you're thirsty and you're having your sodium intake. All right. I share design. Sup, Dr. G, how do you clean your veggies? I thought I remembered you saying you use salt water and soak it. Yep, I do. About 5 minutes of salt water and then rinse it off. Have I heard of you using baking soda or vinegar? Yes, you can totally do that too. And Google the ways to do it. Just make sure you clean them well so you don't have any left on the veggies. We once had, this was years ago, I'll never forget it. We had a client, it was a fitness client actually, who was trying to do hypernourishment, and then him and his wife had like horrific diarrhea, and they called us. They thought it was, just from the vegetables, and it was way out there. I said, no, something's very wrong here. Either you have an infection or something. And then I figured out, I said, tell me step by step everything you did. They used hydrogen peroxide to clean their veggies, and there are protocols for that, but they didn't rinse them. And so they consumed hydrogen peroxide, and then that caused the diarrhea. So just make sure whatever you use to clean it, you wash it off. People always want to blame the veggies. It's often not the veggies. Okay, let me see. Instructional technology. Is spirulina okay for those with active lupus? Yes, it's worked fine for people who like it. It's not necessary though. So, you wrote down about stimulating immune cells. And even in doctors, it's a lack of understanding of the pathophysiology of lupus that makes people think that stimulating immune cells is bad, because they just assume there's like one type of immune cell. And if your immune system is active, it's lupus. And if it's inactive, then you're fine. But we want to raise the activity of the anti-inflammatory immune system and calm down the inflammatory immune system. And people have successfully used spirulina, no problem. But you don't need to. I mean, I used to use it when I first got into smoothies and stuff. I was playing around with like maca and spirulina and all that stuff. None of it's necessary though. And it got expensive and boring, so I stopped using them. But it's fine if you want to. Let's see. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, I'm so happy to see this. It's a very good sign. So from Daily Vacaciones, you can see here, so cool. It says, I haven't had my labs done for my class 3 for lupus nephritis since before I started the Goodbye Lupus protocol a few months ago. I haven't had foamy urine for weeks. That's got to be a great sign. It's a very good sign because foamy urine is caused by protein loss in the urine. And so that could mean that your kidneys are healing, that you're not losing protein. So it's a very good sign. Very excited for you. The question is, will eating protocol-friendly meal salad and simultaneously drinking green smoothie hinder optimal digestion absorption? Many, many things. No, it's fine. I combine those all the time. Like if I'm not done with my smoothie yet and I'm about to start eating a salad, I have them together. And I always joke, it's overkill. Like I'm so nourished right now. It's totally fine. All right. And quick question, moringa is awesome being nutrient dense. Have you had any experience with it? Nope, I do not. Let me see. All right. All right, Jill, is it okay to eat soy every day if I'm hypernourishing? Yep, again, hypernourishment is about what you're adding, and there's nothing inherently bad about eating tofu or soybeans. Okay, let's go down to Facebook. I see some of you have written your same question in Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You are dedicated to getting an answer. Let me see. Okay. Myra, hey, Dr. G, are you familiar with Joel Furman? Yep, I know him. We see each other all the time at conferences. He's adamant about getting enough omega-3s, saying it's very important to brain health as we age. Agreed. And that most people cannot convert ALA to EPA and DHA due to genetic factors, including most ideal eating vegans. Have not seen that to be the case. He recommends supplementing with algae oil and not relying on walnuts and flax or chia. What are your thoughts about this? I have not seen that to be the case, and that's what I use exclusively. We are in agreement that omega-3s are necessary. Algae oil is a difficult one to source because from what I've seen, algae oil is it's directly from algae, right? And it's a direct source of EPA, DHA. And in that sense, it's totally fine. However, most of the supplements I see dissolve the algae oil in an inflammatory oil like sunflower oil because they're trying to dilute it and sell it as a supplement. So you get this little tiny dropper, and then it's mostly sunflower oil with some algae in it. So it's become inflammatory. And to have the dosage I recommend, you would have to go through one of those a day or every few days. And then these folks would be spending thousands of dollars on a supplement that may not even work. Whereas flax oil is way cheaper, super effective, and people can convert it just fine as long as they're not consuming inflammatory oils. I teach the pathways in Goodbye Lupus and in my classes to show how that works. So my results show that they work just fine. Let's see. All right, Donna Hamilton wants to know, if you don't have lupus, what book can one order from you? So really, all of my books are effective for people with different kinds of illnesses. Goodbye Lupus is called that because it's my story. So I had lupus for 12 years of my life, and I don't have it anymore. I haven't had it for over 19 years. So it's called Goodbye Lupus because it's my story of recovery. So the first part of it is my story, and then the second part of it are the foods that cause illness and the foods that heal illness. And it's basically that protocol. So it's known as the Goodbye Lupus protocol because it reversed my lupus. But it's also effective across the board because it's specialized in cellular repair. And so it helps people with rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, Sjogren's, diabetes, high cholesterol, weight loss, whatever it is that you're looking for, you can use that protocol. So if you're looking for, what the protocol is and why it works, that's Goodbye Lupus. Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, again, it's not specific for just autoimmune disease, but that book started out as a project because people were saying, well, what if I don't have lupus? And I was like, oh, well, let me write a book that has all the cases, or not all of them, but a lot of cases in different diseases to show what else it helps. And so the about a third of that book is all like dozens and dozens and dozens of case studies of people reversing many different diseases. And the rest of it actually ended up being me pouring my heart out in all the different ways that people sabotage and need to heal emotional wounds, as well as get the self-care and sleep they need in order to make the protocol work. So if you're looking for if you're having issues with commitment and you really want to know how to overcome that, or you're looking for more case studies, that's Goodbye Autoimmune Disease. Goodbye Autoimmune Disease does summarize the Goodbye Lupus protocol in the beginning, but there's no depth or detail because that's all in Goodbye Lupus. If you're looking just for recipes where you're like, I just want to eat healthier and hypernourished and I don't even need to know the science or any of that, then Goodbye Lupus Hello Delicious, my recipe book, that's choice. And again, the Goodbye Lupus name came from my story. So it's not that it's just for lupus. It's just that that's how people know me. Oh, she's the Goodbye Lupus doctor. So yeah, any of them, it just depends on what you're looking for. What foods to eat and why, Goodbye Lupus. How to overcome the self-sabotage or case studies in other diseases, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease. And if you're looking for recipes, Goodbye Lupus Hello Delicious. And that's how we name the different protocols too, right? The Goodbye Lupus protocol is just the nutrition. The Goodbye Autoimmune Disease is the nutrition plus the self-care, emotional work, sleep, everything else, the full lifestyle. Hypernourishment is just about adding the nutrition in without restricting the bad stuff. So that's what all of those are. Alrighty. It's good to see all of you. I do have to jump because I have some people still waiting to see me after this. I hope this helped you with your Wednesday. I know it's the holidays coming up next week. Remember that the holidays are about love and family and all of the spiritual, religious things, everything that gives you meaning. Focus on those things and let your food be something that gets you the opportunity to have more holidays because it's not making you sicker, it's making you well. I hope it helps all of you. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and I will see you soon.